Alto saxophonist Erena Terakubo, a prodigious talent hailing from Sapporo, Japan, started her recording career early and with a bang. Inspired by an unlikely source, a saxophone-playing M&M doll, Erena's early fascination with music set her on a path to become one of the dynamic voices of her generation in contemporary jazz. From her formative years playing in big bands in Sapporo to her love for jazz over classical music, Erena's story is one of passion, perseverance, and extraordinary growth. Hi, I'm Steve Browngen, host of Strictly Jazz Sounds, the podcast where we have conversations about all things jazz. In this episode, Erena shares her early influences from J-Fusion to legendary figures like Charlie Parker and David Sanborn. She offers a candid glimpse into her life in the United States, the cultural shifts, and the challenges she faced adapting to the vibrant jazz scene in New York City. With insights from jazz luminary Vincent Herring, Erena navigated the business side of jazz and how to manage an extensive road trip that requires fortitude and the capacity to do what it takes to play nightly for weeks on end. Join me as Erena reflects on her initial nervousness, her journey towards confidence, and her experiences arranging music for big band performances at Jazz at Lincoln Center. She emphasizes the profound importance of emotional expression in music, drawing from her influences to shape her unique improvisational style. Erena also sheds light on her experiences as a woman in the male-dominated jazz industry, her ongoing projects, and her aspirations for the future. We're going to take a dive into her story and explore the rhythm, soul, and heart of jazz through her eyes. The discography for this 32-year-old saxophonist is very impressive. Erena now has 6 recordings as a leader. What is more impressive is the dream team lined up for her first 3 projects by now deceased Japanese producer Yasuhisa Yoneda, including Christian McBride, Ron Carter, Kenny Barron, Jimmy Cobb, and Lenny White, the dream team that came true. Thanks to King Records, we'll listen to 3 tracks from Erena's most recent recording, Erena Terakubo, Absolutely Live. Thank you for listening. I know there are loads of podcasts for you to listen to. Thanks for choosing Strictly Jazz Sounds. Well, the conversation begins as usual from the beginning. You're listening to Strictly Jazz Sounds, your podcast about all things jazz. I'm Steve Browngen. You started playing music at a young age. So walk us through all your early musical experiences, how you gravitated towards jazz and the saxophone specifically.
So I discovered saxophone when I saw this M&M doll playing saxophone with sunglasses. It's blue one. You can see online, and it's a doll. And I asked my parents, they are architects, nothing to do with music. And oh, it's saxophone. I want to hear this sound. And they took me to local big band in Sapporo, Japan.
Yeah.
When I was around 8 or 9, and I was in love with the sound. I reacted to the sound so much, so I would stand up and close my eyes and pretending like playing saxophone.
At 8 years old.
I ate, and my parents were like, I've never seen her doing that. That's strange. Let me get her saxophone. And my older cousin was just giving up the saxophone. Oh, great. And I was renting it. That was good Yasuhisa saxophone. And I auditioned Sapporo Junior Jazz Orchestra. That's the city big band we had in Sapporo City. And they had auditions, weekly practicing together. They even had workshop with Herbie Hancock or Teru Masahino, Taiga Okoshi, Sadao Watanabe. So they were the lecturer. At the same time, my public high school had a jazz band. My homeroom teacher loved jazz. So he formed big band in my school. So those are going on at the same time.
So all of that is happening.
All are happening. But before that, I was learning classical piano at the Yamaha. And also jazz saxophone in Yamaha. And all of them are happening at the same time. Yeah. And eventually I was very shy. But when I played saxophone, I felt like I can communicate. I can be myself. I can say whatever I thought. And after I did that, the audience reacted back to me with in Japan. I just loved that feeling. I only felt that on saxophone. I hated practicing classical piano.
Now,
It-
why was that difficult for you to practice? What was it about the emotions, classical versus jazz?
so classical, I just didn't want to practice. And my mom always told me like, practice this, that. Your teacher told you to practice this. And she would practice with me together. But I don't want to do this. But saxophone, at first, I didn't want to practice. I was like, why? But more you get better at it and audience reacts and people around me says, oh, you can play. And I want to be better at this person. I want to be better at that friend. And I practice. I was a little competitive.
Now, I talked with Yuhansu, Jin Lu, in particular, those two. I talked with Miki Yamanaka, but when I talked to Jin and Yuan, both of them talked about the classical versus jazz issue. And with classical, they didn't feel the capacity within that structure for a greater creativity.
I enjoy listening to classical. I recently played back to back with this wonderful Asian classical pianist. So she would play 10-minute set at David Geffen Hall with ballerina. And then after their tune, we played like Charles Mingus tunes with Mario Bilstein, the trombone player that I sometimes play with. It's her band, and we play classical jazz back to back. And since then, I'm huge fan of you jazz playing, and so I enjoy. I don't know about the process of playing because I wasn't really like serious about the classical, like being a classical performer. So maybe they went through something different.
They really dived into it very seriously. They were performing professionally, classically, and both of them felt that it reached a point in their careers that when they heard jazz, they realized there
Mhm.
was that opportunity. Improvisation requires a whole different skill set.
That's amazing.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. Who were some of your earlier influences? I have an idea, but I want to hear from you, and let's see if my mental checklist jives with you.
Okay, so I first of all I was in love with J fusion. So
Okay.
there's band called T Square and Masato Honda. He was my idol. So I had his picture and everything. And
Ah,
praying to become like him one day every night. And
okay. So I have fusion on your list. Okay, go ahead.
and then I became fan of David Sanborn
Huh?
fusion.
I have David
And
Sandbarn.
yeah, and Candy Dalfer, but more like David Sanborn. And then I discovered Charlie Parker. My private teacher recommended me to buy a Charlie Parker omnibook.
Mm-hmm.
That's the saxophone, any saxophone player at some point. It's a yellow book with Charlie Parker shadow drawing. And it's a transcription of a Charlie Parker solo. And there are 30 song or something, full solo of a transcription. Ever since I got that book, I was in love with Charlie Parker, but I forgot I was in love with his playing by listening because the sound quality is not as good.
The recording.
The recording,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's when I was in love with Straight Ahead. So then I started listening to Cannonball, Sonny Stitt, Phil Woods until now. So that was like when I was 12, 10, 12.
Yeah.
I'm still doing the same thing.
You've hit everybody that I thought that you were influenced by. And of late, Vincent Herring.
Of course.
You and Vincent have this thing going on. You've been perform. I've been wondering, how is it that two alto players are performing together in a group, smaller ensemble, not big band, but a smaller ensemble. How is that working for you?
It's been amazing. I'm learning so much about not only the music, but his approach to the the people, like to the musician or the booking agent or someone who takes care of you at the tour. Yeah, for example, he says to me, like we had 30 straight day of playing every day, each day. And then I get tired and I started playing, like trying stuff and see how it's work. But he said, you have to play like every opportunity, you have to play your best. So they think they want to have you again next year. They want you to come back. And 10 out of 10, you have to do that. You have to do, they were not listening last night playing or 10 nights ago, but they are only listening now. So you have to play the best you can. And that's really stuck in my mind. And now every time I play, I think about that.
It sounds like you're talking about a real important element that music schools don't teach you, and that is the business of jazz, the business of being a musician.
Mhm.
What does it take to do it from night to night on the road, having to deal with all the paperwork, having to deal with paying the musicians, having to work with a booking agent, and then most importantly, how to work with the people that you're performing for and performing with. Sounds like Vincent Herring is mentoring you in that right now.
Yes, absolutely.
And it looks like by your face right now, you are enjoying it quite a bit.
Yes, of course.
And are you two going to do a recording?
Actually, we just did recording for Vincent's great friend Yoris Dudley. He lives in Vienna and he books for Vincent over 20 years. And we did recording for him last week for a couple tunes. So maybe next time when we do the tour, I think we will release it.
Sounds good to me. Now, let me drop back a little bit here. I'm catching some stories of musicians who came to the United States and the issues surrounding becoming a part of the United States. So it's not just an issue of you leaving Japan, leaving Sapporo City, coming to New York. It is about you learning the language, culture, money, a wide range of things.
Yeah.
Share with me one or two major things that were either challenging or very interesting for you in your transition from Japan to the United States.
So, first of all, I have a funny story. Like when I came to New York, I could speak English because I was in Boston for 4 years. I went to Berkeley for 4 years. So I had some idea. But New York is totally different.
Yes, it is.
I saw, okay, everyone's like friend, it's community except me. So I felt so stranger. Like I felt like I'm such a stranger. And I thought, oh my God, everyone hates me. Oh no. And I often went to Smoke Jazz Club before they renovated. Small, like jazz club with bar. And I'd be sitting there at the bar and didn't really talk to anyone. And I was so nervous entire time I was staying there, but just as audience. And people often wonder, is she okay? Is she like on something? And because I didn't talk, didn't even look at people's eye. And I was a very shy person. Or once you get along with me, I don't stop talking. But I have the first impression. I can't be open with anyone immediately.
So you're very shy, and you go in to smoke. You're by yourself. You're at the bar or at the table, and
probably reading a book.
Reading a book at a jazz club. Something's not right there.
Now, when I go there, people are like so welcoming, and I talk to people. So I think my communication skill had gotten better since I came to New York.
But is there a particular thing that happened that broke it out for you? Was there something that took place, or you talk about the communication skills, but there's something that happened?
Yeah, but Vincent always told me like, you gotta be relaxed. You have to be you. It's okay. Like just relax. So he was supportive that way too.
So you chilled out.
Just be yourself. Like he told me that so many times because I was like trying to become extra polite and nice. But it's not like Japan. You have to relax and like dive into the sea.
Yeah. So the scene in Japan has got to be very different from the United States, particularly in Tokyo, say Tokyo versus New York. Maybe they're similar. I don't know. Tell me about
I
it.
don't actually know so much because whole this time I was in States. Since when I was 18 until right now, I'm 32. I'm almost halfway living myself in States. So
Wow.
Japan has so many cultural stuff. You have to talk to the older person differently and do stuff differently. Automatically, if you are 1 year older than me, you have to act so different.
Tell me more about that.
It definitely depends on the person. For example, you talk to Miki. Miki is very friendly. So I can just talk to her like friends. But if you go to Japanese college or high school, the 1 year difference means so much.
Okay, that
So
means that person has that much more over you.
yeah. So sometimes you have to, okay, come to this party and I don't really want to go. But the older person said to me, I must go. Something like it's
So
a
you
little
have
different.
so you have to respect them. You have to do what they tell you to do.
Yes. Something like that.
Okay. Okay. Here in the United States, it is a different structure for that.
But I think it's something. I thought it's United States. You guys don't have anything, but there is something. So
There is
that's
something.
what I learned too.
Yeah.
I was thinking, okay, States, okay, everyone's on the same page, but I learned I have to respect the same way that we do in Japan too.
Okay. Let's take that. You had quite an experience when you were in high school. You met Christian McBride, Kenny Barron, Ron Carter, Jimmy Cobb, Lenny White. How did that happen?
So my producer, his name was Mr. 88. He went by his name by Mr. 88, but his
Yasuhashi.
Yasuhachi Ito. He
Yeah.
passed away, but he so many connections with these people, and he asked me like, "Who is your dream band you want to play with?" And I named like Kenny Barron, Ron Carter, and then as a joke, but he said, "Okay."
And he delivered.
Yes.
Whoa. Get out of here. Arena, really?
Yeah. He really loved me. He wanted to say whatever I said.
Oh,
He
that's
didn't
precious.
have child with, he treated all the musician like his child.
Oh, wow. That is really special. How
Yes.
did you feel about that?
Oh, I'm grateful, of course. I was super nervous. But,
That's what I wanted to know was how nervous were you for that?
oh, I can still feel what I wanted to be done with this.
Really?
Nervous.
Take me through that recording session a little bit. Talk about a particular thing that you came away with after doing those recording sessions.
I was just so nervous, and entire time Mr. Carter were trying to calm me down, but it got me more nervous. But living in Japan at that time, still in
Yeah.
Sapporo. First of all, I had to make a trip around 20 hours trip from Sapporo to New York. After that, we had rehearsal and we just played, and that's it. Yeah, it's a regular recording session. Plus, I was so terrified.
Was that whole scene, was that whole setup so challenging for you that it was hard for you to get past certain things and that you wish that certain things had happened, or do you feel
You know,
pretty satisfied by them?
I wish it has happened now because I can communicate better and I play better and I wouldn't be nervous. No, I can't say at all, but I can play myself and I guarantee you I can make much better recording.
These guys are still around, except for Jimmy Cobb,
Right.
but these guys are still around. I would
Right.
love to see you
So
with Christian
yeah,
McBride back to back. Oh my gosh.
that would be awesome.
Yeah. Your performance at Dizzy's at Jazz at Lincoln Center, the big band that you did,
Mm.
that was fabulous from what I saw anyway. Can you take me through the process? Was that the first time that you did a big band that you directed? But take me through that process.
When I was 2 months ago, before the concert, Dizzy's contacted me. Would you like to do this? And I said, big band? It has to be big? No way. And I was touring with Vincent, and I shouldn't do this, right? And Vincent said, yeah, I think you should do it. Okay, I'll do it. And, and then because when I went to Manhattan School of Music, I learned arranging for big band. So I had two charts I arranged, and
That was when you got your master's at Manhattan School of Music.
okay, I'm gonna do this. And then during a tour, I was also researching what to play, which tune should I play, buying chart from the company. And I called my friends. I wanted to make this process as smooth as possible. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna call friends that they can be on my side and they can be supportive of this process. I called the band and most of everyone were my first call. And they said, okay, they would love to do. It's not like it pays so much, but they said, oh, yeah, because I want to play with you, I want to do it. Great. And they agreed to play a concert. And after the tour, I was also a little, oh my God, I have to do the big band. And one tune I definitely wanted to play is Toshiko Akiyoshi's Long Yellow Road.
Yeah.
But later I found out there were some wrong notes in there. Her husband, Luther Bucking, came to the concert and he said, the arrangement is something is wrong with that arrangement.
Oh, that must have gotten you a little scared.
Scared, but it sounds fine. It's not like crushing anything. It sounded fine, but I think she later changed or something. Yeah. But next time, if I have a chance to do this big band again, I will ask original chart from Toshiko.
Well, it was cool that it had Lute back in there.
Yes. And we rehearsed. The rehearsal went super well and concert went great. There's YouTube footage that anyone can see. So please check out. Yeah. So it was great feeling. I enjoyed it so much.
I loved watching the body language that you had. You were so elated about that. And as a matter of fact, your band and your band members, I'm going to put it that way, they were so thrilled for you in particular in certain parts when you just ripped it.
Yeah. So I wasn't the person who conduct. Like when I was in elementary school band, I was a solist. Everyone picked me, but no one picked me for MC, like talking or conducting. I don't know why. But I had this unconscious thing like, oh, can I do this? But yes, it's part of music. It makes it different how you conduct. If I'm conduct like this, or 1, 2, 3, 4, their energy, the music changes. So
Yeah, it does. How do you approach the balance between technical proficiency and emotional expression in your playing?
So I just love playing technical stuff because that's all I did when I was a kid. But emotional is the most important
Yeah.
because music is about expressing your emotion and connecting to the audience. And
And the audience has to connect with you.
mhm.
And
Hmm.
there's this reciprocal relationship that happens. It was like I said, on this one part, I forgot what piece it was. I think it was like second to the last piece that you played. And you had the solo and you just tore it into it. And not only the band, but the audience, you can hear this, whoa. And the emotion, your emotional expression
Mhm.
bounces off the audience.
Mm.
That's how it
Most
works.
of the time.
Right.
Because I'm not scary person, but when I play saxophone, people interpret as, oh my god, she's scary. So I'm I'm not thinking anything, but people take that as anger sometimes instead of energy. But I'm just here just trying to make amazing music, something beautiful.
How does the context of the music and the musicians around you shape your approach to how you improvise?
What do
Does
you
it?
mean?
So you have you surround yourself with certain musicians
Mhm.
and you have a particular type of music. Does that shape your improvisational technique or style output in any way?
Oh, I think so. It depends. Like I get the influence from people.
Yeah.
So if I'm surrounded by hip hop people, I guess I get that influence, or surrounded by classical people, or more like old school, like jazz people. Yes, I definitely get affected by that.
Let's get into your music. let's talk about your music. You recorded 6 albums, and we talked about 2 of them because we talked about Ron Carter and Christian McBride and those guys. But let's talk about Absolutely Live and Little Girl Power. Little Girl Power. Name is inspired by something. What is that?
I say so many things, but it's basically Vincent was joking about, oh, this tune's title is going to be Little Girl Power. And I thought, oh, that's trendy. And I said to the record company in Japan, oh, okay, that's easy to remember. So that's how it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Get out of here. Okay.
I'm not that deep.
Says nothing deep, nothing complex. Just Vincent says, this is pretty cool. It's pretty hip. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. The first track is by Alto saxophonist Jackie McLean.
Mhm.
And the second track is Stompin' at the Savoy, a Benny Goodman composition. And then you have Chick Corea's favorite, Bud Powell. And then you have Shaw Nuff by Bird and Diz. And then Johnny Mercer and Hoagie Carmichael, Skylark. And then you have Cedar Walton's Fiesta Español.
Mhm.
You wrote 3 tracks. The impact of all the other musicians is apparent to me when I listen to the music that you wrote. What about that time period in jazz history inspired you so much to want to play that music?
Because I love it. I just hear it and I can connect so easily. It's like someone's talking. I enjoy it so much. I can't explain that. I just love
How
it.
do you love it? Okay, so when you're listening to it,
Hmm.
what kind of reaction do you go through? Do you put yourself in that space?
I hear someone is telling comedy, or sometimes I hear like someone listening to comedy and wow, it's so great. Or sometimes it's artistic. It's like painting. Wow.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a good way to put it. It's like painting, a painting, and you see something, and you go, whoa.
Like
And that's,
telling the story that's so sad and sometimes I want to cry like that.
yeah, on Absolutely Live, Little Girl Power on that. Obviously, it's on the other album as well, and because that's the title cut. But when I listened to it, I heard the start of what Eddie Harris and Les McCann did
Of
with
course.
Cold Duck Time. Is that your inspiration for that?
More, of course, that's too, but this here.
This here, yes.
It's like almost that's too.
It's almost like that's right. Did you? Of course, you couldn't have seen Eddie Harris. I did see Eddie Harris,
Hmm.
and that's why I'm so in tune with it. My wife loves
Eddie
Harris
Harris.
and Les McCann, and loves that album. Hey, what is there not to like about it?
That's what I'm saying. What is there not to like about it? It's
It moves, it jumps,
yeah.
and that's what you want to do, isn't it?
Yes. That's what I'm working on these days too. Some people has great feeling. They're not doing any technical thing, but it's just so the feel is so good. And as Japanese, there is people saying, "Oh, Japanese can't swing." Eh, eh, so I want to be able to swing, and I'm learning that. Like I think by playing with someone who has great feel makes me how to do that.
I think you've got it pretty well.
Yeah, the listener to come to my show because I play so differently live, or even like stuff I post on my Instagram or YouTube. I play so different than recordings. I don't know why. Maybe it's the sound. Like when you make CDs, the sound gets compressed and
Yeah.
it takes all my goodness away. That's so sometimes I feel that. So I really I wish I can go everywhere and play live.
Wow, takes my goodness away. What a phrase. Switch gears a little bit. The jazz world is a male dominated world, as you well know. What has your experience been as a woman in jazz, and perhaps even a Japanese woman in jazz, an Asian woman in jazz?
Everyone asked me that question, but I never really thought about it. I'm me. I'm just playing music. If anything, maybe it gave me positive impact because she's women and she can play. It's
That's outstanding. How important is it for you to be a role model for young women?
very important, I think. I'm hoping that I can be good role model for women jazz, like female musician who's serious about playing this music.
Have you spent time with Terry Lynn Carrington at Berkeley?
Yes, he
Yeah.
recently. Yes, she's super nice, and I respect her. She played with David Sanborn.
Yeah.
So when I was watching those VHS, the video, well, David Sanborn, she was there sweating and playing drums. So cool.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Hmm.
She's one of the episodes on my podcast. The Jazz and Gender Justice Institute
Hmm.
really playing a very important role in with women jazz musicians. Have you been involved with that in any
Now,
way?
that was after I left Berkeley. That's a pretty recent project.
Yeah.
So but I had a student who she played um trumpet in Japan, and she took I recommended her to apply for that, and she said it was great. But when I was in Berkeley or doing 5 week, it didn't exist.
I know that other musicians have returned to Berkeley and as guests of Terry Lynn's and Linda Mahon, Chris Davis, and have provided some services or performed with students there. And I didn't know if you were involved in any way in that regard.
I wish.
Well,
I
good.
wish I could do that and like possibly return and teach there. And that's my one of the dream to do and inspire younger musician.
Have you encountered any stereotypes or assumptions related to your gender or ethnicity in the jazz
You know,
world?
I think I'm too positive that I didn't notice. But I
That's okay.
some yeah, someone around me, it's the guys around me has been super nice. And I I don't let me think. Yeah, I'm not so sensitive too. So I don't take everything so seriously. Um, but I've heard my friend says, hey guys, guy came to the band and hey cats, hey kidding. And then, so, but I'm sure I've had that kind of experience, but I wasn't thinking so much. I just want to play. But I totally get that. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm comfortable now.
That's great. And you have, let's see now, you've been playing with Ulysses Owens Jr. How
Yeah.
is that working out? Now, are you still with him or have
Yeah.
you moved on?
He just told me we are going to Japan and we're going to have recording and it's still ongoing project. Yeah. So Ulysses is hardworking person. I'm so happy to be part of his projects. Yeah, it helps me going somewhere, play or do clinics, and yeah, and he's doing the type of music I love the most.
Yeah. Oh, I could seeing you and Benny Benek third together like that, he really loves your playing.
Benny?
Benny gets off on your work so much when you're playing, when you're performing, your solo. I love watching Benny react to you.
Yeah, I was like, please stand watch Benny. I'm playing.
Okay, sorry about that.
I'm just kidding.
I got But Benny's reaction to you adds to your performance, my enjoyment of your performance, because you're so up there and out. And it's really exciting to watch you play.
Yeah, that band is so inspiring. I play differently. I definitely play more energy. So if I have any frustration in my life, I hold it until I have gig with Ulysses and put out everything there.
Oh, that's interesting. So it helps you to channel that energy out.
Yes.
I guess we'll put a term on it. We'll channel it.
Channel, yeah.
Yeah, we'll channel it. What about you're with the Mingus Big Band?
Yes.
Isn't that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you play weekly?
So Mingus Big Band has multiple people to call for each chair.
Yeah.
So it's not every time you go to Mingus Big Band, it's me. But it's usually David Lee and Sarah Hanahan, me. There are Alex Terrier, Mark Gross, of course. There are maybe 7 people for alto saxophone chair or more. But I've been working with them like at least every month.
Oh, that's good. Well, that keeps your chops going, doesn't it?
It's different. Mingus Big Band definitely has more freedom, expression. Yeah, I can be so free. And everyone is so much high energy. And that's beauty of that band. I'm approaching this differently, also taking that idea and put some different projects. It gives me confidence because, okay, I can be me and everyone like it. Yeah.
Wayne Escafrey was also a guest on my show, and he talks about that band, and it represents one of the premier musicians in the history of the music, Charles Mingus. How do you feel that this is something that you are in a completely different place? You are elevated to a different place because, as you said, it's a different type of music.
Yes. It's like people are screaming something they felt and something they think it's right all the time.
Very emotional.
Very emotional.
Have you ever been part of a jam session where there is no melody being played, that you're just playing from your emotions and not of music?
No, but it's Band. Of course, there is melody and structure. In fact, it's so much of it. But no, I don't think I've ever been a part of that. There's no melody and just play free.
Yeah, that's a real challenge. And it does require a whole different set of skills.
So when I was in Japan, I played with this free jazz pianist. He's national star, Yosuke Yamashita. So he used to burn his grand piano while he's playing, like it's very out. Anyway, so when I played with him, that was the most free I played. Or when I joined the band with Teru Masahino. And when I played with him, he was very into free. Yeah, I played a little free like that with those guys, but there was still melody.
There's still melody. But it's a challenge playing free. How is your writing? How is your writing doing these days? Are you involved in doing much writing, or are you more on arrangement?
Yesterday, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to write a lot of tunes this year. That's what I think every year, but it's hard to get ongoing life gig. Someone else, I have to learn clarinet, flute, saxophone, alto, soprano, and teaching. On top of that, for me, it's hard to write, but this year I'm gonna do
Okay. Now, you want me to call you every week?
it. Please remind me.
I'll text you. Erena, how's that next chart coming?
I need some of that.
Oh my gosh. Are there any other particular musical styles or projects that you would like to explore further?
I've been working on this septet project, trumpet, alto, tenor, trombone, and rhythm section projects. So I want to record that sometimes, and of course, big band.
I got to ask one more question here. What is the origin of the nickname that you have, Charlie Parker of the North?
No, when I first released my album, it said North Bird because North means I'm from Hokkaido, Sapporo.
Oh, okay.
So people in Tokyo think Sapporo is North Island. It's like almost a different country. And Sapporo is one of the most snowiest big city in the whole world. It snows so much. So that's why it's North, and Bird is, of course, Charlie Parker.
Got it. Well, you taught me something on that. I did not know that. Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
It's been a delight. It's been wonderful to talk with you, and thank you for sharing your time with me.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you so much. It was so much fun.
Terakubo performs with the Charles Mingus Big Band at least once a month in New York City. You may be able to catch her on the road, she says, performing with Ulysses Owens Jr., and it's almost certain you can catch her playing with Vincent Herring's ensemble sometime in the near future. Thanks to King Records for use of the tracks for this podcast. The theme music used in my show was written and performed by Johannes Wallman from his album Precarious Towers. The composition is McCoy. As winter gives way to spring, more music will break out with the flowers and trees. Make sure you head on out to support live jazz. Subscribe to this podcast because when you do, you become one of the first to hear new episodes or learn of new photos or other jazz news I'm sharing. Also, you can now find Strictly Jazz Sounds on the award-winning jazz website All About Jazz. Keep your eyes and ears open for upcoming podcasts featuring the jazz detective Zev Feldman and Grammy Award-winning bassist John Petitucci. Thank you for listening to Strictly Jazz Sounds, the podcast that's a conversation about all things jazz. I'm Steve Brown again.